Hello students, welcome back to the economics class of plus 2 standard as we were working with lesson number 5, supply and elasticity of supply. In this chapter we have already discussed the concepts of supply. Today we will discuss explanation of the law of supply, assumptions of the law, reasons for the operation of the law, exceptions of the law, change in supply. Under this we will discuss movement along the supply curve and shift in supply curve. There are different commodities like eatables are there, snacks, shoes, dresses, fruits, cars, washing machine and number of other things are there in the market that are used by the consumers. The person who is using the things, consumer, that is called consumer, to satisfy their wants. These commodities are supplied by the supplier. Supply or intended supply refers to the quantity of a commodity offered for sale at different prices during a given time period. Supply of a commodity is influenced by a number of factors like price of a commodity, like Sonalika tractors are there, price of other commodities like tires, tubes, seat cover, etc. and the price of the related commodities like Mahindra and Mahindra tractors. These are known as determinants of supply. By putting together the various determinants, we construct the supply function. As the supply or as the price of the commodity, that is Sonalika tractors, will rise, the supply of the Sonalika tractors will also rise. Quantity supplied bears a direct relationship to the price of a commodity. As the price will increase from 10 to 11 points, the supply will also increase from 100 to 150 points. This is what the law of supply states. Elasticity of supply is the responsiveness of quantity supplied to a change in the price of a commodity. Let us discuss some important key terms related to the topic, that is individual supply curve, market supply curve, reserve price and increase in supply. First one is individual supply schedule. Suppose Mrs. ABC Limited are willing to sell 28,000 units of their product per week at a price of rupees 4 each. If the price goes up by rupees 5 each, they may be willing to sell 35,000 units, and at price rupees 6 they are willing to sell 42,000 units of their product. With the increase in the price, the quantity supplied increases, and with the decrease in the price, the quantity supplied will decrease. So, the individual supply schedule states the quantity of a commodity that a producer would offer for sale at various prices. From the schedule, we can see that when the price of the tea per packet was rupees 2, the quantity supplied, that is 10,000, and at price rupees 3, the quantity supplied, that is 20,000. So, we can see that with the increase in the price from 2 to 3, then 4 rupees, then 5 rupees, the supply also increased accordingly. Next one is market supply schedule. Suppose that in a market there are two sellers of tea, firm A and firm B. By adding up the quantities which these firms offer at different prices, we get the market supply schedule. So, the market supply schedule shows the total quantity of a product which all its producers jointly offer for sale at different prices. From the table, you can see that there are two firms, firm A and firm B, and the first column showing the prices of the tea per packet, and the last column is shows the total supply of the tea in the market. At price rupees 2, the firm A is ready to sell 10 units and firm B is ready to sell 5 units of its product, and the total supply in the market, that is 10 plus 5, it is equals to 15 units in the market. and at price rupees 3, the firm A is ready to sell 20 units and the firm B is ready to sell 15 units, and the total supply in the market, that is 35 units. In this way we can calculate the market supply for the commodity. So the market supply schedule shows the total quantity of a product which all its producers jointly offer for sale at different prices. Grammatical presentation of a market supply schedule. First one is, there is firm A, and on the x-axis we are measuring quantity of a tea, and on y-axis we will measure the price per packet. When the price it is rupees 1 per packet, then the quantity supplied it is 10 units. At rupees 2 the quantity supplied it is 20 units. At rupees 3 the quantity supplied it is 30 units. And after joining all the points we will get an upward sloping supply curve for firm A. In the same way, for the firm B, on the x-axis we will measure the quantity of tea, and on the y-axis we will measure the price per packet of a tea. When the price it was worth rupees 1, the quantity supplied for tea it is 11 units, and at price rupees 2 the quantity supplied it is 22 units, and after joining all these points we will get an upward sloping supply curve for firm B. And after adding up the supply at different prices by both the firms, we will get the market supply curve for firm A and firm B, and that will also be upward sloping supply curve. This supply curve it is known as market supply curve. Next one is supply schedule. A supply schedule is a tabular statement that gives a full account of supply of a commodity in a given market at a given time. Supply schedule it is of two types. First one is individual supply schedule and second one is market supply schedule. Next one is we will discuss reserve price. Suppose the price of a potatoes given by the government it is rupees 80 per quintal, and the farmers will not sell the potatoes below this price level in the market. So the reserve price is a minimum price below which the seller does not offer any quantity for sale in the market. Now suppose the government has given the price rupees 4 and the farmers will not sell potatoes below this price, and after joining all the points with the increase in the price and increase in the quantity accordingly, we will get the upward sloping straight line starting from the y-intercept at price rupees 4. This is your reserve price line. Now next one is increase in supply. First of all, we will discuss the case of increase in supply when the producers are willing to supply more at the same price. In table 1, the price of a commodity it is fixed at rupees 5 and the quantity supplied it is increased first time from 100 to 120, but the price remains the same. And in the table 2 you can see that there is a case of increase in supply when the producers are prepared to supply original quantity at the lower price. When the price was rupees 5 per quintal, then their supply it is 100 units, and when the price falls from 5 to 4 rupees, then again their supply remains the same. So in table 2 the price of a commodity falls from rupees 5 to rupees 4 per unit, but the quantity supplied remains the same, that is 100 units. Now in the diagram there is a measurement of price on y-axis and quantity on x-axis. When the price it was rupees 2, what happened at that time? There is a quantity supplied in the market, that is 10 units, and at price rupees 3 the quantity supplied it is 20 units, and after joining the points we will get an upward sloping supply curve. Now with the increase in the prices, what happened? The supply will also increase. it will be shifted towards the right side. This is dotted line shows that there is increase in the supply due to the increase in the prices from OP1 to OP. Now next one is consider a market with two firms. The following table shows the supply schedule of two firms. The SS1 column gives the supply schedule of firm 1 and SS2 column gives the supply schedule of firm 2. Now compute the market supply schedule. How you will compute the market supply schedule? This is the first row, shows the price of the commodity, and SS1 is the supply by the first firm and SS2 is the supply by the second firm. Now in order to get the supply schedule by both the firms, what we will do, we will add the points for firm A and firm B. 0 plus 0 will give you 0. Next one is 0 plus 0, again 0. 0 plus 0 will give you 0. 1 plus 1 will give you 2. 2 plus 2 will give you 4. 3 plus 3 will give you 6. 4 plus 4 will give you 8. So this SSM is the supply schedule for the market. Now next one is consider a market with two firms. In the following table, column labeled as SS1 and SS2 give the supply of firm 1 and firm 2 respectively. Now we have to compute the market supply schedule. From here again, first column it is of prices and second column it is supply by the first firm and third column it is supply by the second firm. Now how we will get the market supply curve? We will add the supply by both the firms at different prices. 0 plus 0, 0. Again 0 plus 0, 0. 0 plus 0, 0. 1 plus 0, 1. 2 plus 0.5, 2.5. 3 plus 1, 4. So this is your market supply curve by both the firms. Next one is, suppose there are three identical firms in a market. The following table shows the supply schedule of firm 1. Compute the market supply schedule. Now we are having the supply schedule of first firm only. According to the first firm, what is a market supply curve? That is 0, 0, 2 at price rupees 2 and at price rupees 3 supply it is 4 units. At price rupees 4 supply it is of 6 units by firm 1 SS1, and at rupees 5 supply it is 8 units. At rupees 6 supply it is 10 units and so on. But in the question what is here, that there are three identical firms in a market, means all the three firms are giving the same supply. So we can multiply this one by 3. 3 plus multiply by 0 will give you 0. 0 multiply by 3 will give you 0. 2 multiply by 3, 6. 4 3, 12. 6 3, 18. 8 3s are 24. 10 3s are 30. 12 3s are 36. 14 3s are 42. So this is the market supply schedule by all the three identical firms. Next one is, we will discuss the assumptions of the law. Price of the commodity can change, means the price of tea it is equals to worth rupees 5 on the first day and it can be changed to rupees 6 and it can be also be changed to rupees 7. Then now next one is, no change in the price of related commodities like coffee. Next one is, it is worth rupees 4 per pack, so it remains the same. Next one is, no change in the state of technology, means packing it is manually or by machines. Only one technology it will be adopted. Next one is, no change in the goods of the firm, that is the both the firms will produce tea and coffee only. Next one is, no change in the price of factors of production like land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. Their prices remains the same. Next one is, producers do not expect any change in the price of the commodity in the near future. Next assumption of the law is that is cost of production it is unchanged. Next is fixed scale of production. Suppose 5 machines means 5 machines will be there. Government policies are unchanged, that is taxation policies. Next one is no change in transport cost. Next one is no speculation will be there according to the law of supply. Now next one is why does supply curve have a positive slope, or what is the basis of the law of supply? Let us discuss it with the help of example. If the price of one tea packet, that is increases from rupees 5 to rupees 6, and that of coffee remains the same at price rupees 5 per packet, the producer will increase the supply of tea packets in order to increase the profit. This is the law of supply. Next one is, so the law of supply states that other things being equal, price of the related commodity, that is, and technology, government policy means taxation policy, goal of the producer, that is a profit maximization, etc. The supply of a commodity increases with an increase in its price and decreases with the fall in price. From the diagram you can see that on the x-axis we have measured the quantity supplied, and on the y-axis we have measured the price of rice. With the increase in the price from 10 to 11, the quantity also increased from 5 to 6 units. And when the price increase from 11 rupees to 12 rupees, the supply will also increase from 6 units to 7 units. After joining all the points, we will get an upward sloping straight line supply curve. Now next one is profit and loss. With the rise in the price of tea packet from rupees 5 to rupees 6, producers generally increase their production in view of higher profit possibilities. So as price rises, the quantity supplied rises from 10 packets to 15 packets of tea. On the other hand, as price falls, the quantity supplied declines because firms will now expect to earn less revenue. Cost of production. Cost of production, that is the payment of the labor in the form of wages, rent for the use of land, interest for capital. Capital means for the use of machine or any financial assets are there. Next one is payment for raw material. Next one is transport cost, electricity bill, etc. in the production process. In most of the cases, as output increases, cost of production also increases. This is because of the operation of law of diminishing returns. Therefore, producers would supply more quantity only at a higher price so as to cover the higher cost of production. Next one, we will discuss the law of diminishing marginal returns. Let us understand it with the help of an example. Think about an effectiveness of extra workers in a small cafe. Suppose in a cafe, that is in the coffee houses there are 5 workers, but due to increase in the number of customers in the cafe, the employer employs 2 extra workers, but the requirement is only for 1 extra worker, as the number of machines remains the same. When more workers are employed, as the number of machines remains the same, then the production will increase but at a decreasing rate. Previously, each worker was giving the production of 8 sandwiches, and the total output given by 5 workers was, that is 5 multiplied by 8, it is equals to 40 sandwiches. But after the increase in the number of workers from 5 to 6, now each worker is giving the output of 7 sandwiches, and the total output it is 42 sandwiches. That is 6 is the number of workers and 7 is the output, that is number of sandwiches. If the employer will employ 7 workers, the output given by the 7 workers will be 6 sandwiches each. Means 7 multiplied by 6, it is equals to 42 sandwiches. So here we can say that the increase in the number of workers, output will increase but at a lesser rate. Law of diminishing marginal return. This law only applies in the short run because in the long run all factors are variable. Assume the wage rate it is rupees 10, then an extra worker cost it is rupees 10. The marginal cost means additional cost of a sandwich will be the cost of the worker divided by the number of extra sandwiches that are produced. Therefore, as marginal price, that is additional price increases and marginal cost means additional cost declines, and vice versa. The total product, that is TP, this is the total output produced by the workers, and marginal product, that is MP, this is the output produced by an extra worker. The first worker adds 2 goods. If a worker costs rupees 20, the marginal cost of those 2 units it is 20 divided by 2, it is equals to 10 units. Now next one is the third worker adds 6 goods and the marginal cost of those 6 units are 20 divided by 6, that is 3.3. Now next one is the fifth worker adds an extra 10 goods. Now what happened? The marginal cost of these 10 it is just 2. Now next one is 10 divided by 5, it is equals to 2. Now next one is after the fifth worker, diminishing returns set. As the MP, that is marginal price means additional price, start declining as extra workers produce less and the marginal cost increases. In the table, first column showing the number of workers, second column that is the total output given by each worker, that is first worker give the total production of 2 units and 2 workers will deposit 6 units and 3 workers together will give the output of 12 units and 4 workers will give the 20 units, and with the increase in the number of workers total output will increase and the marginal product that will also increase. Now what happened? This additional production will increase only up to the level of 5th unit. After this it starts declining and the marginal cost also firstly it is declining and then start increasing. Now next one is law of diminishing marginal return. Diminishing returns occurs in the short run when one factor is fixed, for example capital or machine. If the variable factor of production it is increased, for example labor, there comes a point where it will become less productive and therefore eventually there will be a decreasing marginal means additional marginal and average product. This is because if capital is fixed, extra workers will eventually get in each other's way as they attempt to increase production. Next one is when the law of diminishing marginal return is applied, the firm's marginal cost means additional cost keep on rising. A firm will not find it profitable to increase output if it cannot at least cover the additional cost, that is marginal cost, that are incurred. As the price of the product rises, the firm can increase its output until the cost of producing an additional unit rises to the level where it is first covered by the price at which that unit can be sold. In brief, because the cost of raising output increases as more is being produced already, higher and higher prices are needed to induce firms to make successive increases in output. The result is a positively sloped curve, indicating that higher the price, the more will be produced. The law states that as more units of the variable factor, that is raw material and labor employed, the additional made to the total production falls. that is cost of production will rise. Thus, more quantity is supplied at higher price so as to cover the rise in the cost of production. The producer will increase the supply till the price it is greater than marginal cost. Next one is goal of profit maximization. The aim of a producer is to maximize profits. The aim can be achieved by raising the price of the goods. At a higher price, producers increase the supply of the goods. Incentives to other firms. Let us understand this with the help of an example. Suppose MRF, that is a name of a tire company, has given tires to Hyundai at lesser rates. Hyundai will use it as a spare parts in the processing of finished goods and sell the product at higher rates. This is the incentive for the Hyundai to increase the production. Rising prices work as an incentive, means motivation, not only for the existing firms to expand the level of output, but also induce new firms to enter the industry. With the entry of new firms, commodity will be produced at a larger quantity and hence supplied in a larger quantity. Next one is exceptions of the law of supply. First one is agricultural goods. The goods whose supply cannot be adjusted to the market conditions like wheat, rice, maize, etc. Next one is perishable goods are there. Perishable commodities like green leafy vegetables, fish, milk and milk products, etc. that cannot be stored for a longer period of time. So supply cannot change in response to change in its prices. So the supply curve is perfectly inelastic, means it is parallel to y-axis. In the diagram you can see that on the x-axis we have measured the quantity and on the y-axis we have measured the price. When the price was increased from 2 to 3 units, the quantity supplied, that is 30, and when the price increased from 3 rupees to 4, again the quantity supplied remains the same. Now we can see that at all the levels of prices the quantity remains, that is 30 units. So we will get a upward sloping straight line that will be parallel to the y-axis. Now this type of curve, it is known as perfectly inelastic curve. Next one is goods having social distinction like diamond jewelry. Goods command high prices only because of limited availability. Higher prices need not result in higher supply. The law of supply does not apply to rare articles like ancient coins, goods of high quality, poems written by the top class poets. Their supply it is fixed and cannot change with the rise in price. In all the above cases, the supply curve it is perfectly inelastic, that is parallel to y-axis. Now next one is disposal of old stock. When a seller intends to clear off its old stock of goods, it would like to sell more goods by reducing its prices. The supply is fixed. In the above case, the supply curve is perfectly inelastic, that is parallel to y-axis. Next one is supply of a labor. Supply curve is a unique example of relationship between the wage rate and the working hours. Increase in wage rate will induce labor to work for longer hours till they realize that working more has adversely affected his leisure time. Like supply of labor, wage rate per hour, that is 500 rupees, 600, 800, and it will increasing continuously. In the second column you can see that supply of labor hours, that is 8, 10 hours, 12 hours at the wage rate 800, 12 hours at the wage rate 1000, again supply of labor hours, that is 12, and it after this one it will start decreasing with the increase in the wage rate. And the leisure hours in a day, that is 16, and with the 600 wage rate it is 14, and at 800 wage rate it is 12, at 1000 wage rate it is leisure hours, it is 12. So you can see from here that with the increase in the wage rate, firstly the supply of labor hours it will increase, and after that it will start decreasing. As their leisure time it is firstly decreasing and after that it starts increasing. When we will mark these points on the graph, on the x-axis we have measured the quantity of work hours, and on the y-axis we have measured the wage rate per hour. We can see that with the increase in the wage rate per hour, the quantity supplied of workers will firstly increases up to the point that is 1000 wage rate, and after that it start decreasing, and you will get a backward bending supply curve for the supply of labor hours. Reserve price. Suppose the price of potatoes it is given by the government as rupees 80 per quintal, and the farmers will not sell the potatoes below this price level in the market. So the reserve price is a minimum price below which the seller does not offer any quantity for sale in the market. A producer may have a reserve price, that is a price below which he may not be willing to sell any quantity of his product. A seller's reserve price is influenced by a number of factors, that is nature of goods. Reserve price for fish, green leafy vegetables will be less, while that of for furniture made up of wood, pulses, wheat, rice, reserve price will be high, because of these are durable goods, and fish, green leafy vegetables, these are non-durable goods or the perishable commodities. Next one is, so the reserve price for perishable goods will be lower, while for a durable goods it may be relatively higher. Greater the durability, the higher is the reserve price. It is because of the fact that durable goods can be stored in the event of their current low prices. Next one is need for cash. If in urgent need for cash, a seller may fix a lower reserve price than otherwise. Warehousing facilities. If good facilities are available for storage and warehousing, a producer may fix a higher reserve price. Next one is gestation period of production. If the gestation period is long, a producer may fix a higher reserve price. Next one is changes in demand. A seller knows that after the month of February, the demand for woolen clothes will fall. In this case, the seller will keep a low reserve price. So, if a seller expects that the current demand for a good will not continue in future and will fall, he will keep a low reserve price and vice versa. Next one is future cost of production. Suppose in 2020 budget there is a hope that the prices of electrical appliances will be high. Then the seller will set a high reserve price for electrical appliances. So, where the future cost of production is expected to rise due to various economic conditions, a seller will keep a high reserve price and vice versa. Self-consumption. If a seller is desirous of and can afford to keep a large stock for self-consumption, he will fix a higher reserve price. Next one is change in supply. The factors influencing supply are mainly grouped into two categories: price of the commodity and other factors like price of the related good, tea and coffee, prices of the factors of production like price of land, labor, capital, etc., and the goals of the firms, that is profit maximization and future expectations regarding changes in the prices due to the government policy of taxation. Accordingly, there are two types of change in the supply. These are change in the quantity supplied or movement along the same supply curve, and second one is change in supply or shift in the supply curve. Firstly, we will discuss the change in quantity supplied or movement along the supply curve. In the months of October till January, the price of the wheat increases and the producers offer more quantity of wheat for sale in the market from their stock. So, the movement of supply curve occurs due to a change in the price of a commodity. If the price of a commodity increases, then the producer will offer more supply for the same commodity. Expansion in supply or movement along the supply curve. Other things being equal means price of the related good, price of the other goods, government policy, etc. remains the same when the supply of commodity expands due to rise in the prices, and the prices of the related goods or the substitute goods, other goods and government policy remains the same. In the table, when the price rise from rupees 5 to rupees 6, the quantity supplied also increase from 100 units to 120 units. Thus, supply expands by 20 units, which is called the expansion of supply. In the figure, the price rises from OP to OP1. So, supply also increase from OQ to OQ1. The increase of QQ1 in supply is the expansion of supply. In this case, the seller moves upward from point E to point E1 on the same supply curve. This is known as expansion of supply. From here you can see that QQ1 is the expansion of supply. Next one is contraction in supply. Other things being constant means price of the related goods, tea and coffee, price of the other goods, government policy like taxes. When supply of a commodity falls due to fall in its price, that is known as contraction in supply. In the table you can see that when the price falls from rupees 6 to rupees 5, the quantity supplied also falls from 120 units to 100 units. And in the diagram you can see that on the x-axis we have measured the quantity and on the y-axis we have measured the price of a commodity. As the price falls from OP1 to OP, that is a fall of P1 to P price level, that is from 6 to 4 price level. The quantity also supplied also falls from 40 units to 30 units, and the equilibrium also falls from E1 to E. So this is known as expansion in supply curve from E1 to E or from Q1 to Q. This is known as contraction in supply. Next one is shift of a supply curve. In this, shift of a supply curve occurs when the entire supply schedule changes due to factors like taste, fashion, income, change in input prices, number of producers, change in taxes and subsidies, etc. Other than the price of the commodity. Means price of the commodity remains the same and other factors can be changed. First one is increase in supply. Suppose a shift in the supply occurs because of the change in any determinants, that is due to technological progress. Input prices means increase in the raw material, increase in the prices of raw material, increase in the wages, increase in the rent, and the number of producers also increase. Change in the tax policy or the subsidies of the supply other than price, means price remains the same. Increase in supply occurs when the producers are willing to supply more at the same price, or they are prepared to supply original quantity at a lower price. Thus, there are two aspects of the increase in supply. First one is case of increase in supply when the producers are willing to supply more at the same price. In the table 1, you can see that the price remains the same and the quantity supplied increase from 100 to 120 units. And in the table 2, producers are prepared to supply the original quantity at a lower price. When the price falls from rupees 5 to rupees 4, the quantity supplied remains the same. Now when we will mark these points, firstly we will take the price remains the same at 5 units, and at that time the quantity supplied it is also, that is 100 with the fixed price, and at the same price rupees 5 the quantity it is 120 also. And when we will mark these points, we will get an upward sloping supply curve, and with the fall in the price, again there is increase in the supply, quantity supplied. This shift in supply curve from SS to SS1, this is known as increase in supply curve. Next one is, in the figure, original price of a commodity, it is OP, at which the producer wishes to supply OQ quantity of the commodity. Under the influence of other factors like improvement in the techniques of production, fall in the factor prices like wages, rent, interest, tax concession or the subsidies to the producers, the supply curve shifts rightwards and take the new position of SS1. This supply curve shows, SS1 supply curve shows that producer is prepared to sell more quantity, that is OQ1 from OQ1 instead of OQ at the same original price, that is OP. We also observe here that producer is willing to supply the same quantity OQ even at a lower price, that is OP1. Here also consumer is ready to sell the 40 units. Now next one is causes of increase in supply. A fall in the price of substitute goods or competing product, that is tea and coffee, means substitute product. Improvement in technology and better techniques of production. Next one is fall in the price of factor inputs. Factor inputs like wages, rent used in the production cause reduction in the cost of production. Expectations of fall in the price of a commodity in future. Reduction in excise duty or grant of subsidy by the government. Shift of firm's goal from profit maximization to sales maximization. So these are the causes of the increase in supply. Next one is decrease in supply. A decrease in supply occurs because of a change in any determinant, that is technological progress, input prices like wages, number of producers in the market, change in taxes and subsidies of supply other than the price of a commodity. Next one is decrease in supply reflects a situation in which the producer supplies less quantity at the same price or the quantity at a higher price. In the table 1, the producer is willing to supply lesser quantity at the same price. Price remains the same at ₹5 and the producer is supply less units, that is from 100 to 70. While table 2 shows the producers is prepared to supply the same amount of quantity only at a higher price, that is from ₹5 to ₹6, but the quantity remains the same, that is 100. And when you will draw these points, you will get the upward sloping supply curve, and there is a shift in the leftward shift in the supply curve due to the change in the other factors of production. Next one is producer is under the influence of other factors, that is rise in the factor prices, wages, rent, etc., and fall in the number of producers in the market, imposition of taxes by the government and influencing the supply, all these determinants. In the figure, at the original price, that is OP, the producer supplies OQ quantity of the commodity. When the supply curve shifts from its original position, that is from SS to SS1, that is leftward shift of the supply curve, producer is willing to supply lesser quantity, that is OQ1 at the same price OP. The new supply has been fallen by SS1, that is a dotted line. Point C on the new supply curve represents the second aspect of decrease in supply, that is more price, that is OP1, and the same supply OS. Now next one is decrease in supply. As you can see that S1 is the original supply curve and S2 is the new supply curve, that is supply will decrease due to the changes in the other factors of production like wages, rent, price of the raw material, transport cost, tax policy of the government. Next one is we will discuss the causes of decrease in supply. A rise in the price of substitute goods or competing goods, that is tea and coffee, jaggery and sugar. Use of outdated technology, increase in the price of factor inputs like labor used in production. expectations of a rise in price of a commodity in future, imposition of excise duty or withdrawal of subsidy by the government, shift of firm's goal from sales maximization to the profit maximization. Students, hope you all have understood the topic of the movement of the supply curve and shift in the supply curve. Now it's time to note down the homework. Our first question is, define the following terms with the example: individual supply curve, market supply curve, supply schedule, reserve price, increase in supply. Our second question is, explain the law of supply with hypothetical table, use diagram. Third question is, write the exceptions of the law of supply. And last one is, diagrammatically explain the following: movement along the supply curve and shift in the supply curve. And students, please go through the YouTube links also for more clarity, and hope you all will complete your notes in your fair copy for better learning. Thank you for listening.